So, before you listen to this, I really want to invite you to slow down. Not dramatically, just enough to notice yourself. Notice where your body is touching whatever is supporting you. Notice your breath. Don't try to change it. Notice if there's anywhere you're already holding or bracing in your body. Because this episode is not something to consume, it's something to receive. Because women's work doesn't land in the mind, it lands in the body. And if you're here, something in you already knows that that's what you need. And today I want to talk about women's work in a way that is honest, grounded, and embodied. Not aesthetic, not performative, not aspirational, but very real. Because so many women come to this work after already doing so much. They've read all the books, they've done the therapy, they understand their patterns, they can name all their wounds, and yet their body still doesn't feel safe. Their relationships still feel confusing. Their nervous system is still so exhausted. So this episode is for that woman. For most of my life, I was incredibly capable. I could lead rooms, I could hold space, I could achieve and perform and succeed. And from the outside, it looked like confidence. But inside my body, something else was happening. I was almost never fully here. I lived from my mind, from anticipation, from management, and adaptation. I didn't really know the word disassociation yet. I just knew I was tired in a way sleep didn't fix. I don't know if you can relate, but I could be productive all day and collapse at night. I could be in relationships and feel strangely alone inside them. What I didn't understand then was that my body had learned very, very early that being fully present wasn't safe. So I learned how to leave quietly, efficiently, so well that it felt normal. And here's the important part about this. This didn't come from weakness. It came from intelligence. My nervous system learned how to survive, and it did its job incredibly well. Woman's work didn't begin for me as a spiritual calling, trust me. It began as a reckoning with my body. Because women's work is not about becoming softer so you're easy to love. And it's not about becoming stronger so nothing can touch you. It's not about polarity hacks. It's not about embodying some idealized feminine. I'm so sick of seeing that everywhere, this feminine movement. Women's work is about repairing safety inside the body. Because until your body feels safe, no amount of insight will change your patterns. And this is why so many women reach out to me saying, I know why I do this, but I still do it. Because knowing is cortical, healing is somatic, and it happens in the body. Because your nervous system doesn't respond to logic, it responds to the experience. And most women learn to survive in subtle ways. We survive by being agreeable, by being needed, by being impressive, by being desirable, by being low maintenance. And you guys, none of these are flaws, they're just adaptations. But when these adaptations are still running your adult life, they shape your relationships, your sexuality, and your self-trust. So women's work is the process of bringing the body out of survival and back into presence. And it really comes to healing your inner child because she's not a memory. She's not an age regression exercise. She is a set of nervous system responses that learned how to keep you safe. And she's the part of you that learned when to stay silent, when to smile instead of saying no, when to take responsibility for others' emotions, when to leave your body during intensity, and when love meant tension instead of safety. And those patterns live below conscious thought, which is why affirmations don't touch them. Healing the inner child is not about reliving the past over and over and over from the mind. Therapy has shown me that doesn't work. It's about bringing safety into the present moment. It's teaching your body, you don't have to brace anymore. You don't have to perform. And you don't have to disappear to be loved. And the truth about this work is that it cannot be rushed because safety happens slowly. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And when women try to bypass this step, they may look strong and empowered, but their body is still holding the same contractions. This is why shadow work is one of the most misunderstood aspects of women's work. It's not about being a spiritual archaeologist and digging up trauma over and over and over again. Trust me, I did that as well, because we can identify as wounded. Shadow work for women is about reclaiming what was never allowed to exist safety. For many of you, that may be anger, sexual desires, needs, boundaries, grief, truth, even ambition. These parts weren't dangerous. They were unwelcomed. So what do? We suppress them and they go underground. And when shadow isn't integrated, it doesn't disappear. It leaks. And it comes up in our relationships and in our work and in everything through resentment, through burnout, through self-sabotage, and through confusing relational dynamics. So shadow work is not about indulging these parts. It's about giving them a seat at the table so they don't hijack the nervous system anymore. So that's why when I'm working with the liberated woman in this container, she's not loud or quiet. She's regulated. She doesn't abandon herself to be chosen. She doesn't override her body to be productive. And she definitely doesn't confuse intensity with intimacy. She can feel deeply without collapsing. She can desire without losing herself. And she can be soft without being unsafe. Her power isn't performative, it's steady. Liberation looks like saying no without guilt, resting without earning it, choosing relationships that feel safe, not addictive, trusting the body's signals, and staying present even when things are uncomfortable. This is not a persona, it's a nervous system state. And one of the clearest places this work shows up is in your intimate life. A dysregulated nervous system mistakes intensity for chemistry, unavailability for attraction, and chaos for passion. But when the body becomes safer, I promise you, your desire will change. Not less. You won't have less desire. It'll just be cleaner because sex becomes embodied instead of dissociative. Connection becomes mutual instead of anxious, and choice replaces compulsion. And this is why women's work changes relationships, not because you try harder, but because your body no longer accepts what once felt familiar. So if something softened in you while listening to this, that's not coincidence. That's resonance. There's a reason that you found me. This work is not fast, and it sure as hell is not glamorous, but I promise you it's real. And it brings women home to themselves, not as an identity, but as an experience. Because I promise you, ladies, you are not broken. You are patterned. And patterns can change, but only when the body feels safe enough to do so. The way that I work first is by ensuring that your inner child is safe enough to come home. And that takes time. Because our inner child have been running our lives for so long. Once the inner child has been regulated enough and she feels safe, we can start to explore the deeper ancestral patterns that came from your mother and father line that you inherited. We hold 7 generations of trauma in our wombs. 7. You experienced your entire mother's life because you were present as an egg in her body the whole entire time that she lived. So our nervous systems adapt to those that are our caretakers. And we can relearn that, but we have to be held accountable because we have to step into the queen that we've always been meant to be. And first we have to find our body's no. Once you find the body's no and you recognize that you've been operating from a state of survival your entire life, and you can start to see, wow, I've been saying yes when I want to say no. And on the opposite side, I've been saying no to things that light me up when I've been wanting to say yes. And we have all these reasons and all these beliefs to work through in regards to that. But once you find your no, you can then find your yes. And I'm telling you, when you find your yes and you start working with pleasure and what lights you up, doing what you love in a place you love with the people you love, and optimal health and wellness, life becomes amazing. I chased it. I chased it all over the world. I chased it with money, with men, with everything, with power. And when I finally came home to my body and recognized I was running from myself, and I found this deep self-love in the stillness of myself, I started to really cultivate and create the life that I really wanted. And in that, I've met the love of my life. I've got a business that's incredible in helping people all over the world. I've got friendships that are deep and real because as I stepped more into what brought me pleasure and away from all the things that I thought I had to do, I started to become more authentically me. And when you become the most authentic version of you, you become the queen. Because the queen isn't living someone else's rules. The queen is living in her full power as her as the woman that she was born to be. After we do that womb work, yoni work is essential as well, especially for those of you that have been abused. For anyone that's had any sort of sexual abuse, and that's 1 in 2 of you ladies. 1 in 2. If that's calling you, if you've had sex before when you didn't want to and you dissociated and you didn't remember it, that was abuse. And we can only heal abuse when we return back to our brain, which is our yonis, as crazy as that sounds. When we start to operate from our felt senses, the woman, the feminine, the true feminine, not this distorted feminine bullshit that we see all online, this feminine that's soft or this or the dark feminine or this or that. The feminine is just about feeling safe in your body to be present as you and receiving in that stillness, not performing for it or trying for it, just knowing that you're worthy of it and trusting that the universe has you. And that healing has to happen in the womb. Because once we heal the womb and the broken heart of the inner child, our intuition comes online. And once your intuition comes online, I'm telling you, everything starts to just play out in the best ways ever. And that's not to say that you don't have to live a soul-aligned life and face your triggers. But that's what Soul Path Mastery is for, the program that we've built. So if you're working through triggers and you're working through shadow work, come join us. But if you're looking for woman's work, know that it is the most empowering and the best thing you will ever do for yourself. Is finding your own intuition, your own light, and knowing who you are, stepping into that goddess that's within each and every one of you, the wisdom of the womb, the wisdom of the heart. So thank you for listening. And if this work is calling you, it's because something in you is ready to remember. So reach out. I'd love to be a part of your journey and help you come home to yourself, your body, and your womb.